Wealth is what you earn while you sleep. Money is not wealth. Money is merely the social credit we use to transfer other people's time. Most people spend their entire biological existence on a linear treadmill. They operate under the delusion that more sweat equals more output. They believe that hard work by itself is a virtue that the market rewards, but the market is a cold, indifferent machine. It does not care about your effort. It only cares about leverage, and it only pays for judgment. If you watched our clinical analysis of the collapsing global order, you already know the brutal truth. Fiat currency is a melting glacier. Governments are diluting the value of every printed dollar in real time. If your primary economic engine is selling your limited, unreplicable time for those depreciating pieces of paper, you are running a race you have already lost. To survive the late-stage debt cycle, you must cross the boundary from labor to equity. You must own a factory, a line of code, or a piece of media, because assets do not sleep. Assets do not have biological limits. Renting your time means competing in a zero-sum status game, chasing temporary hierarchies like monkey tribes. Owning assets means playing the positive-sum wealth game, and the very first rule of survival is to exit the linear trap. If society can train you to do a job, society can eventually replace you. Today, that replacement is no longer just cheaper human labor. It is automation. It is algorithmic intelligence. Most modern education is a factory designed to create commoditized humans, standardized accountants, standardized programmers, standardized managers. If you are the product of a mass curriculum, you are inherently replaceable. The only defense mechanism against this systemic obsolescence is what Naval calls specific knowledge. Specific knowledge cannot be taught in a university lecture hall. If it can be packaged into a textbook, it can be commoditized. It can be outsourced to an AI model for pennies. True specific knowledge is found only by turning inward. It is the highly irregular, highly specific intersection of your obsessive curiosities, your strange childhood fascinations, and your genuine identity. To the outside world, what you do looks like intense, grueling, non-sustainable work, but to you, it feels like play. When you operate from your authentic specificity, you effectively build a monopoly of one. You no longer have competition because no one can beat you at being you. The modern economic elite does not try to be a slightly better version of a standard template. They isolate their uniqueness and they use it as a foundation. But specific knowledge alone is not enough. To move the world, a monopoly of one still requires a lever. To understand how to navigate this modern economy, you must first recognize the games people play. There are fundamentally two, the wealth game and the status game. Status is your place in the social hierarchy. It is an ancient, zero-sum game played since the days of tribal primates. For you to be number one, someone else must be number two. Status is a necessary structure for society to function, but chasing it makes you combative and anxious. If you spend your life fighting for status, you are constantly trying to put others down to lift yourself up. The industrial education system trains humans to play the status game. It teaches you to look for corporate titles, political positioning, and social approval. But you cannot buy your freedom with status. You can only buy it with leverage. There are three major classes of leverage that have defined human history, and a fourth one that is currently reshaping our world. The first form of leverage is labor. This is the oldest form of leverage. It means having other people work for you. Managing human labor is messy, complicated, and requires immense leadership effort. It is a low-margin form of leverage because society is constantly fighting over the ownership of labor, and it requires constant management to keep a team aligned. The second form of leverage is capital. Capital is a much better form of leverage than labor. It means having money work for you. If you have capital, you can multiply your decisions by millions of dollars. It scales much more cleanly than human beings because money does not have bad days, does not complain, and does not require emotional management. However, capital is hard to get. It requires deep trust, extensive track records, and usually means you have to spend years convincing someone else to give you their money. The third and fourth forms of leverage are the true revolution of the modern era. These are permissionless leverage. They do not require anyone else's permission to code, and they do not require anyone else's permission to watch. These are code and media. When you write a computer program, or when you record a high-density digital broadcast, you are creating an army of replicas that work for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for a marginal cost of zero. They do not ask for a raise, they do not get tired, they do not complain. A book, a video, a line of code, an algorithmic model. These are the modern levers that allow an individual to achieve an asymmetrical outcome. In the old world, to have 1,000 times more impact, you needed 1,000 employees. In the new world, you just need a better lever. In the old system of manual labor, input matched output. If you worked 40 hours, you produced 40 hours of value. The tools you used were simple, and your individual decisions could not cause massive destruction or massive creation. But in the modern era of permissionless leverage, this relationship is completely broken. We live in an age of infinite leverage. When you manage capital, write code, or create media, your decisions are multiplied by a factor of thousands or millions. In this environment, a single correct decision can guide an enterprise to billions of dollars in value, while a single blind spot can destroy it overnight. Therefore, the modern economy no longer rewards pure sweat, it rewards judgment. Judgment is the ability to see the world as it truly is and make the right long-term decisions. It is the wisdom to know which direction to run, rather than how fast to run. If you are running in the wrong direction, your speed is your liability, not your asset. To build a monopoly of one and command massive leverage, you must understand a terrifying price that the market demands. That price is accountability. Naval states that to get rich, you must take on accountability and take on business risks under your own name. Society will reward you with leverage, with capital, and with responsibility only when you are willing to stand by your judgment publicly. The vast majority of modern knowledge workers are terrified of accountability. They want the safety of a corporate collective. They want to hide inside a brand, a team, or a bureaucracy, so that if a project fails, everyone can share the blame and no one has to take the fall. But when you hide from the risk of failure, you also hide from the rewards of success. You remain an easily replaceable cog in someone else's machinery. Real wealth creators operate with extreme accountability. They step out into the arena. They put their own names, their own reputations, and their own faces on the line. When you take personal accountability, you are effectively telling the market that you trust your own judgment so deeply that you are willing to accept the consequences of being wrong. This is the only way you build credibility, and credibility is the ultimate magnet for capital and labor. Capital will naturally flow to the people who have a proven track record of exercising judgment with high accountability. This shifts our entire understanding of human effort from a linear perspective to a non-linear one. In the old world, life was predictable and proportional. If you worked twice as hard, you got twice the harvest. But in an economy driven by specific knowledge and infinite leverage, outcomes are entirely non-linear. An individual who possesses a deep monopoly of specific knowledge, combined with 10 times better judgment, using code or media as a lever, can easily produce 1,000 times more economic value than someone relying on raw labor alone. This is why the traditional advice of just working harder is fundamentally flawed. Modern productivity is not about managing your calendar to squeeze out 20 more emails a day. It is about maximizing your inputs on the few pivotal decisions that actually move the needle. A top-tier software engineer does not outproduce a mediocre engineer by 10%. They outproduce them by 10,000% because a single line of code, perfectly placed, can scale infinitely to millions of users. In this nonlinear reality, your daily routine must adapt. You can no longer afford to live like a machine that performs repetitive tasks from 9 to 5. If your job consists of executing a predictable routine, you are living on borrowed time before an automated model learns your pattern and executes it for zero marginal cost. You must transform yourself into an intellectual athlete. You must learn to value absolute mental clarity over performative busyness. True judgment requires a mind that is unclouded by anxiety, anger, or societal expectations. If you are constantly exhausted, constantly stressed, and constantly reacting to the immediate demands of your notifications, your ability to see reality as it truly is will disintegrate. You will make bad decisions, you will misjudge the direction of the market, and your leverage will multiply your mistakes instead of your wealth. To cultivate high-quality judgment, you must build radical boundaries around your peace of mind. You must cultivate quietness. All the real benefits in life come from compound interest. Most people only understand compounding in the context of a bank account, watching a pool of capital slowly multiply over decades. But compounding is a universal law that governs every meaningful domain of human existence. It applies to your business relationships, it applies to your professional reputation, and it applies to your specific knowledge. When you find the right path, the right industry, and the right collaborators, you must commit to them for the long haul. In a world characterized by constant distraction and short-term optimization, the individuals who play long-term games with long-term people become absolute monopolies. When you work with the same individuals for 20 years, trust becomes absolute. The friction of negotiation disappears, and the economic velocity of your enterprise accelerates exponentially. Reputation compounds exactly like capital, creating an invisible fortress around your career that no competitor can penetrate. This brings us to the ultimate destination of the wealth game. You do not build leverage to accumulate piles of depreciating paper currency. You do not take on accountability to buy luxury status symbols to impress strangers you do not respect. The ultimate dividend of wealth is the complete purchase of your personal sovereignty. True freedom is entirely invisible. It is not defined by what you own, but by what you do not have to tolerate. It means the ability to wake up in the morning and possess absolute, unquestioned ownership over your 24 hours. It means you no longer have to wear a specific corporate uniform, attend artificial meetings that make no structural sense, or bow to toxic hierarchies just to maintain your baseline survival. Wealth is the tool you use to buy your exit from the rat race, allowing you to transition from an employee of survival to an engineer of your own reality. Now let the grand architecture of this journey align in your mind. Look back at the global landscape we dissected when analyzing the shifting world orders and the erosion of fiat systems. The macro environment is a turbulent, shifting ocean, driven by sovereign debts and structural devaluations that you cannot control. Trying to save your way to freedom using ordinary labor in a late-stage debt cycle is a statistical impossibility. The only clinical solution for the individual is to move inward, isolate your authentic specificity, attach it to a permissionless lever of code or media, and take radical accountability for your judgment. When you own equity in your own truth, time stops being your master and begins working as your silent employee. Step back from the endless blizzard of daily noise. Look at your trajectory with absolute clarity. Are you building wealth to buy things, or are you building wealth to buy time? Let the silence answer.